Welcome everybody to Fergan the Freak. This is episode 191 and I'm flying solo again today because me and Andrew actually recorded a really long episode last night and it turned out that we didn't have enough space at the end of the month on the podcast host. So just a quick episode today. We're going to do a quick episode tomorrow and and then we'll be back to normal programming after the month ticks over. So there's only a couple of things that come up in the news today. One of them was that Benji Marshall is being shopped around to other clubs by his manager reportedly. Now the West Tigers and the West Tigers coach Michael Maguire has said that there's a place for Benji Marshall at the West Tigers this season, that he's part of their plans going forward. Obviously, you know, with injuries and stuff like that, they don't want to lose the depth that Marshall gives them in the halves. I think what's happened is they've dropped Marshall to try and get a result out of the team, and they've got the results. And you kind of can't change back at that point once you start winning games. I don't have any doubt that Benji Marshall's their best player. I've got no doubt that he's their best half. And, you know, the fact that he's been shopped around to other clubs by his own manager says that Marshall feels like he's got football left in him, which is really interesting because I would have thought that Benji would have been looking to, you know, just stay at the Tigers and retire at the Tigers maybe at the end of this year. But he's playing really good football and he seems to be really enjoying his football as well this year too. So there's been a little rumour going around that he could go to the Parramatta Eels because they've got that injury to Mitchell Moses. He would be a fantastic pickup for them. How he would work with Dylan Brown would be interesting. I think Marshall would just guide the Eels around the park, not do anything, you know, too fancy. And that's all they really need with Mitch Moses off the field. It would be really interesting, though, if the Eels started really firing with Brown and Marshall in the halves. And then Moses comes back from his injury, and it's a long-term injury. He's going to be out for a while, but it would be really hard to break up that halves combination if they really started clicking. He's not there yet. Nothing's official. Just having to talk about it, you know. But the thought of seeing Benji Marshall go to a top club like that and maybe have another chance to win a premiership, for me, that's really, really exciting. So there's a bunch of teams I think would be really good for Marshall. I think if he went to the Storm, he'd be brilliant for them. They could probably use him at the Broncos, but I don't know that, you know, he's going to do much for them this year. They kind of have to have a number of changes to that team. And, you know, they've got changes in the forward pack I kind of think they need to sort out before they start looking at their halves. You know, there's a number of teams. He's a premiership winner. You know, he's one of the most experienced halves in the competition. And man, I would absolutely love him to go to Parramatta. I really think that'd put the cat amongst the pigeons for this season. So the other bit of news that we saw today was that Parramatta Football Stadium, aka Bankwest Stadium, they were looking to re-turf the stadium in a week from now. They've brought that forward so that by round 8, it'll basically be new turf on the field. So that should stop any clubs from whinging about the turf there. The NRL is also allowing a lot of clubs to go and play back at their home stadiums from this next round 8 forward. So we've had some changes, a little bit of changes to where teams are going to be playing games. Obviously, the Storm are going to be based in Queensland from now on because of the second wave that's really hitting Victoria hard. They can't be going to and from Victoria. So they've decided to be up in Queensland for the next month. Excuse me. So Thursday night's game against the Roosters, the Storm are playing the Roosters. They'll be playing at Suncorp Stadium. Friday night's game between the Canberra Raiders and the St George Illawarra Dragons is going to be played at GIO Stadium in Canberra. So that's great news for the Raiders. They won't have to be travelling anymore. The Eels versus Cowboys game is at Bankwest Stadium. Gold Coast Titans will be at home at Seabus Stadium on the Gold Coast when they take on the Cronulla Sharks on Saturday. The New Zealand Warriors are playing the Broncos. Obviously, they're still going to be playing at Central Coast Stadium. There's no talk about them being able to play home games in New Zealand anytime soon. The West Tigers will be hosting the Penrith Panthers once again at Parramatta Stadium. I'm really looking forward to when the Panthers start playing home games at Penrith Football Stadium. I don't know if I will be going to the first few games. I think the second wave hitting Victoria, it's just there's a little bit of a pause on me going to football anytime soon. I think they'll only allow season ticket holders and stuff in to begin with anyway, and I'm not a season ticket holder at the Panthers this year. But anyway, they're playing on Saturday at Bankwest Stadium in Parramatta, so that'll be good to see. On Sunday, the Sea Eagles will be hosting the Newcastle Knights at Lottoland in Manly at Brookvale Oval, otherwise known as Asbestos Stadium. So that'll be good. And then Sunday evening, the Bulldogs will be hosting the Rabbitohs once again at Bankwest Stadium. So, yeah, it looks like most of us are going to be seeing our teams play at their home stadiums. That's going to be good for teams, just the familiar surroundings and stuff like that. I think that the NRL's done a really good job of being able to play at a few stadiums, and the stadiums and the grounds have held up pretty well considering how much football has been played there. You've got to give the NRL credit there for that. So anyway, go to our brand new website, fergoandthefreak.com. It is getting changed daily. It will have a lot more things added to it over time. It looks really good. It's really easy to navigate. You can go and see all the links and all the history episodes, all of the guests we've had all in place. You can see all of our social media stuff. So if you're wondering where you can find our Instagram or anything, go to fergoandthefreak.com. Also, go to patreon.com/RL Project. That helps Andrew with the digitization of rugby league history. It helps him with all of his work. It's very important work for rugby league in general. So if you can, give him some money and help him in that endeavor. Also help me with my websites and my all the stuff I'm doing right now, a little bit of podcasting, equipment and stuff. If you go to patreon.com/League Freak, no spaces. I've actually added a couple of extra tiers so that what happens is you've got to be a Patreon for 3 months, and there's one tier where you get a T-shirt sent out to you for no extra cost. There's another tier where you get a mug sent out to you, no extra cost. And the top tier, the $10 tier that I had, which was the top tier, now it's been surpassed by the previous two, you get a sticker as well at no extra cost. So have a look at that. If you can give a bit of money, that'd be fantastic. It all goes towards site costs, and now there's a whole bunch of sites I'm running and all that sort of stuff. It all helps immensely and is greatly appreciated. So that's it. It's a quick episode. We'll hopefully get out a bit of a longer episode tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And we will catch you very soon on Fergo and the Freak.